Good day, gents, and welcome to another episode of Father's Fire. My name's Jody Cedric, and every week we get together to explore the joys, the challenges, the triumphs, the sorrows, and yes, the fun of being a dad. And man, I got a surprise. My daughter just texted me right before this episode. She said, "Dad, pick me up at the airport at 11:30 tonight." So, it's fun when those kids surprise you and actually want to come home and see dad. So I'm pretty excited. So
That's nice, though.
I know. So, hey, guys, say hi to my guest. So, this is Guy Palumbo.
Hello.
I met him on TikTok of all places. I mean, you guys, if you're not seeing a trend, I'm spending more and more time on TikTok. And my daughter's often teasing me. He's like, "Dad, are you on TikTok again?" It's like, yeah, I just like watching people and seeing people's stories and their creativity. And it's enabled me to find some really amazing dads. And as I was, whoa, that just fell. There, a little statue on my desk just fell off, but oh well.
Sometimes statues fall. That's the nature of things.
Fall. So yeah, so I was scrolling through TikTok as I do, and I tend to look for dad-themed men and that are talking about kids or doing fun things with their kids. And I came across Guy, and I'm like, man, I need to connect. And I actually think the first time we connected was I had our friend Chaz on TikTok Teach, and then he has a weekly show on Mondays where he talks about teaching your kids. And I think that was the first time where you and I actually interacted
That's
with
right.
each other.
That's right.
So you live in Germany. You have 2 kids. You have a daughter and a son, 7 and 3.
That's right.
And I guess the thing that has really intrigued me about your TikTok posts is your absolute encouragement of creativity.
Oh, okay.
I mean, I love it. I mean,
I wasn't sure. Most of my posts are me talking to my son while he's pooping. So
there
you
are
never
a lot
know.
Of those.
You never know what people see.
There are a lot of those, and it's funny how life as a dad. A lot of times you're sitting on the edge of the tub trying to coach him. Come on, you can do this. Sounds like you're at that stage of life.
I am absolutely at that stage in life, sitting on the edge of the tub, trying to coach my son through his poop.
It's so funny because as I'm, before we got on campus, before we got on the podcast, you actually said something that really hit home to me. It's like, man, I don't have a great memory. And so one of the ways that I'm experiencing or grabbing these memories is through TikToks, because I'm that same way. There's a lot of things I know I've forgotten. But when I watch your TikToks, I actually remember sitting on the edge of the tub going, all right, come on, you can do this.
Yeah. It just, I didn't have a great memory to begin with, but I noticed when I became a parent the first time that my brain decided to do triage on what was kept, what was maybe kept for a short while, and then what seems to be the majority was just thrown out. That's dead to us. Forget it. So TikTok has been a nice way for me to have some self-therapy, especially through these difficult COVID times. And I get to relive these moments I experienced with my kids and edit them. And, it's the internet, so it's forever. And yeah, that's kind of what it is. It's been nice to, I love hearing their voices. I love the sound of my kids' voices. And yourself, I mean, I think, what did you say? You have 5 kids?
I have 6.
God bless you, man. So, as a father, as a passenger traveling through time on this, blue rock, and as a musician, their voices change. These things happen, their voices change. And I was telling you that I didn't have a nice phone when my daughter was this age. And, and hell, you and I, we're approximately, the same generation. We remember a time when there were no mobile phones. There was no internet. There was none of this. Like there was a camcorder, which was this giant ordeal, which you needed to have big cassettes for. And, who the hell sifts through that these days? But anyway, we have this thing at the palm of our hands. And, it's really nice to sort of have this record of this experience as these kids of mine grow up. And I got to tell you, COVID has not been kind. so hearing their voices again, each evening as I go through, most evenings, what have you, as I go through, it's been very nice.
It's an interesting thing that, when you consider the technology today versus when I was in high school. I mean, to take a photo, you had to have film, and you had to take your photo and then send it off for processing, wait for 2 weeks for it to come back. And now we have this amazing ability to record every single moment. And I love what Gary Vee said. He said, we have the ability like no other generation to record and document our lives, our history, every little aspect. And so I'm like, your kids are younger, but even me, I mean, especially my wife, my kids are like, oh, mom's got the iPhone again. It's because Judy wants to record every little moment with them.
Mm-hmm.
And I think capturing those moments is really, really important. And it's tough when, especially, I mean, you're at the fun stage, and it's fun at the stage that I'm at, right? You're at 3 and 7. Everything's new to them. And I think that's one of the other TikToks that I really like, is you're talking to your son and you're like getting his insight, his perspective on, this experience. And you're like,
well, it's so refreshing. It is incredibly refreshing in a world that increasingly feels, let me amend that, in a world that can feel that is just very negative and combative. And there are aspects of that certainly exist. I am of the opinion that I don't think the world is necessarily worse than it was. I just think we have more cameras and a better ability to see what it was. I'm not sure how much humans have changed in the past several hundred years, because the real test is, what do people do when the cameras aren't on? And I think we have good people and we have bad people. I am a realist, but I am also an optimist, which is a weird sort of place to sit. I do believe humans are fundamentally good, but it's when you see these things through the eyes of a 3-year-old, a 5-year-old, a 6-year-old, a 7-year-old, you see things that you've forgotten, or you see things in a way that you've forgotten to see. And especially with my daughter, who's 7 now, she's in 2nd grade. And, this year, COVID happened. We saw George Floyd murdered in front of the world by a person that I'm assuming lacks empathy or was so power drunk that did not care that there were a bunch of people filming it. And I had to talk to my daughter about it afterwards. And, not necessarily that's, in such graphic detail, but about racism, about if you see things happening, if someone who looks different than you is treated a certain way at school. When you try to explain things like racism to somebody that age, they look at you like you're an idiot. They're like, what? People do what? Why? What?
Really?
Because what? I don't get, what are you talking about? That's so ridiculous. What?
Yeah.
Because her skin's darker. Pop, what are you talking about? Like, and that's literally the response. And this is what I love. And I, being a musician, being an artist has taught me so much, because kids at that age, they don't really know how to lie. their reactions are pure. So, when they respond to a thing you say, a thing you do, if they, and this goes for parenting, this goes when you try to explain things, it's not because, they're at a lower level of understanding. You have to explain things in an age appropriate way. Their reactions are honest.
Yes.
It's not like when you're at the dinner table with that special uncle or auntie that says something a certain way and you're like, oh, what did that mean? Da, da, da. There's no nuance.
Right.
There's no subtext when a kid responds to you.
Right.
It is, their response is genuine and honest. And it's a reflection of, or a sounding board of what you have given to them. So that's something that I really love, because honestly, it keeps me in check as a human.
I love that, because I remember, as when my kids are younger, I always tried to be very active. Judy and I, we are a phenomenal team. We're both very, we would play with our kids. We'd read stories to them. I do funny voices when I read the stories. I just love that kind of interaction at playtime. So my kids know that when it was bedtime, I would go and, read to them and make up my own songs. And there's still songs that I wake them up to, and they're just like, Dad, can you please stop? I mean, I'm not a great musician like you are, but I just make these funny little things up more to make them laugh. And I think your kids reflect that kind of positiveness or fun as you're creating that environment, but they also can surprise you. And, all of a sudden they're doing something and you're like, don't do that. Wait, that looks just like me. Yeah, maybe I need to not do that so much.
Yeah. Like, yeah. I mean, things happen, because what are you going to say?
Yeah.
Where did it come from?
Right.
Like, especially me, like if they do something, if they say something bad in English, they didn't get it from kindergarten. I live in Germany. They speak German. They got that from Papa, So, and that's the thing. And it's very interesting how, I think you and I are very lucky to be fathers when we're fathers. Or as we're fathers right now. A generation ago, maybe not even a generation ago, and still prevalent today, you have a lot of people of the mindset, or you had a lot of people of the mindset that, well, I can't be that familiar and have that kind of relationship with my kids because I got to be up here to maintain the order or the discipline or whatever it might be. And some people still stick firm to that. But I've seen cases where people look at my brother, who is also a father, and who look at me and the way I interact with my kids, and they're like, "Oh wow, you really have a lot of fun, don't you?" Like, yeah. It's there's, don't get me wrong, there are times when I've got to do dad face, and I got to do dad things. But my wife and I both, we make a big effort never to talk down to them. And like, we just treat them like I treat my kids like equals, because guess what? They are, like, they're equal, they're human, they have as much value as humans as I do in this world. So I feel as though when you come at people with respect, you get respect, if that makes any sense. I had this situation about a month and a half, maybe 2 months ago. I was walking from my studio to my house, and I live in a city. It's not a big city, but it's a city nonetheless. And there were a group of these 5-6 kids, and they all had their skateboards and longboards, and they were about to do the thing where you lie down on the board and go down the street, down the hill, and whatever. And my lens, my primary lens as a human, is as a father. So I'm looking at this, I'm saying, holy shit, oh my God. You know, because the hill they were doing, there's a stoplight at the bottom. And while Germans are very good at following the rules, it just takes one jackass to be texting while driving and blow that red light for it to be all over. So I didn't go like, I didn't do that. You know, I said, hey, guys, it looks like you're about to do this thing. Or is that the plan? They're like, yeah. And I said, okay, I would ask you to consider this, right? It just takes one person to blow through a red light to completely end your existence. And that, I think that would be sad. So could I ask you guys to maybe think about doing this in a safer place? And they're like, oh, wow. Yeah. Thanks, man. And and I walked away and I was like, holy shit, you know, like, oh my God. You know, and that's that. And had I been like, you idiots are gonna get killed, who knows? Maybe they wouldn't listen to me, like, screw you, old man. I don't know. I don't know what the thing would have been. But no, I don't think anybody likes to be talked to as though they're stupid.
Yeah, and I like that approach because I think especially there is a generation of dads where it's, hey, you know what, this is what you do no matter what. And sometimes I find myself sliding into that. But I find that when I pose a question to them, to my kids or to their friends, like you did, it's like, have you really considered this? Are there maybe some options that might be a little bit more fun and technically safe? But, it's like, it's amazing when you actually get them to think that they actually will think through that. And I think a lot of times we as parents, we as adults think that they don't have that ability to think. But in my experience, if you give them the option, you give them the opportunity to choose, they'll think through it usually.
It's amazing. Listen, humans in general, but particularly I think kids, or young people. I think generally you'll be pleasantly surprised. That's my 2 cents. I know people who really talk a lot of garbage about, you know what? I don't even know what generation we're on. Is it Gen Z? What is it now? I'm stupid with all
I
that
have
stuff.
no idea. All I know is I'm double nickels this year and my kids are 18.
Yeah. So whatever the generation is,
Gen
I
X,
hear a lot of, I hear a lot of people talking trash about whatever the up and coming generation is, the one previous to them, which I believe is millennials. I'm not
Yeah.
sure. I don't know what I am. I'm 1981. I've been told I'm a millennial. I've been told I'm a zennial. Whatever. I don't know what label applies to me. But that's been a nice thing about TikTok. I have to say, the sheer amount of creativity, the activism, the scientists, all sorts. I see so many young people doing so many amazing things and showing it to the world. And it gives me a lot of hope, to be honest. And I see people of our generation and older than our generation shitting on them. And you should be doing this. And I'm like, no, they should be doing exactly what they're doing. I watched TikTok totally punk Donald Trump and leave him with an empty rally in Tulsa. And I was like, yeah, like that's a lot cooler than going to the movies or smoking pot behind the bleachers. That's way cooler. So I'm good. I'm good watching these guys. They're empowered. They're impressive, and they really give me hope.
Well, and I love that because I think, there is, especially, I own my own business and I have a lot of conversations with other business owners, other fathers, and they're like, man, these millennials just want to go and pursue something, that they're passionate about. And I'm like, and
Yeah.
that's the problem.
Yeah.
And what I like is it's making us rethink jobs. It's making us rethink creativity. It's making us rethink expression. It's making us rethink opportunities to, build a business. And these kids are coming up with amazing ideas. And I'm sitting there going, I was like, how do I facilitate that kind of hunger, that drive to do something that they're totally passionate about? And I remember when my oldest son came to me. He was 3 years into college. He had 1 year left from his bachelor's degree. And he came to me and he said, Dad, I think I'm going to take this semester off and go to Europe for 8 weeks. I'm like, okay, go do it. So he went, got his backpack, got a cheap flight, stayed at all the hostels and busked a little bit here and there. And I think his 8 weeks turned into 10 weeks. And then he came back and he went to a music festival and met this phenomenal lady that she liked him so much. She offered him a job, and that led him for 3-4 years traveling the music festival circuit. And then the second year into it, she's like, we need to go to Vietnam and Asia to buy clothes for this coming music festival. I really don't want to go. Do you want to go? And so Devin's like, sign me up. I got my passport, right? And if I would have kind of tried to stifle that and say, you got 1 more year, son. I mean, think about the opportunities that he would have missed.
Right.
And you know what? I mean, everybody looks at him and they're like, wow, Devin's got a man, that guy's been to like 57 countries. He's doing, man, his charms life. It's like, no, it's not that it's charmed. And maybe it is, but it's charmed because he's willing to step out and pursue a dream. And I think
that's the thing,
is to help him pursue that dream.
That's the thing. It's, it's really, it's a mixed, yes, there's charm or privilege to the degree that he was in the position that he could do that. But there's something very lucky in the fact that he had a parent who's willing to say, yeah, that really is something you should go for. I mean, you can always, it's not like his college credits went away, right? Nope. It's not like they're going to say, no, we're not going to take your money when you get back.
Not at all.
No. So, that's it. The thing is that people are conditioned, at least I would say, maybe this is an overgeneralization, but I think that a lot of Western countries, they're conditioned that, you have to follow this linear path, and the optimal thing is university or whatever degree into a job and blah, 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 blah. When the simple fact is that now, and by now, I mean early adulthood, or, like if you're even younger than that and what makes you alive into your 20s and 30s before you have these massive responsibilities, it's the best time to go full throttle into something that would be crazy for a dude like you or me who have kids and a wife and, responsibilities. When you don't have a mortgage, you don't have a car payment, and even your car payment, you can sell the damn car and figure that out. When you don't have children, or people who depend on you in that fashion, why the hell not try? I mean, why not? Other than you have people in your life telling you that you can't or you shouldn't.
And I think a lot of times families that I've seen is they set up that environment where there's an expectation where the kid can't really pursue their heart, can't really pursue their passion. They're just on this linear path to do what mom expected or dad expected. And that's what we do in our family. And, I guess, looking back, I'm really grateful that I just told Devin to go. And I think it's kind of, if I'm really looking back even farther, it kind of stemmed from my own dad, because I remember when he retired from the Navy, he had 8 kids and he decided to go back to nursing school. And he's like, guys, this is going to be tough. We're going to have to buckle down for 3 years. And he actually counseled with us as a family and said, all right, this is what we're going to do. We're going to move to this small little town in Arkansas and we're going to go. And we're like, Arkansas? But, because he talked about us and we could see his dream and his passion, we did it as a family. And I guess that's part of, I think, one of the things that I love about you so much is when I'm watching your TikTok, I feel like you're like, look, let's explore this as a father-son or father-daughter, and let's look at life in a new eyes and with the new hope and a new passion, and let's do this together.
Well, I mean, you're telling me the story about what your dad did, and what I take from that is he consulted with you, right?
Yeah.
It wasn't just, we're doing this. It was, listen, this is what's happening. This is what I want you to understand why, and set some expectations about what's going to be going down for the near future. And he gave you guys all the proper context of what you were doing, why you were doing it, and what was going to happen on the other side of it, I'm guessing.
Yeah.
And, that's the difference. Because I think a lot of us have had these jobs where you had a boss who's just a boss and do as I say, don't question, da, 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 da. And then you've had leaders, right? And I think, leaders may all be bosses, but not all bosses are leaders.
True.
Right? So, and it's really a nice thing when, and this is where I'm trying to go, at least as a parent, I'm trying to always be mindful of speaking to my kids as though they are humans, not a lesser human than me, a human, and going about it that way. The only exception is kind of danger for me.
Sure.
But that's a great thing. It's that's a really touching story to hear that your dad did that and spoke to you guys like that.
Yeah. And it, looking back, it was a tough 3 years, but it was 3 years that we as a family rallied together around a vision. And having a vision and a purpose and understanding where we were going as kids, even though I wasn't so thrilled about moving to Arkansas, I knew that our family was going somewhere. My dad had a vision and he was leading us somewhere. It wasn't just a whim that, hey, we're doing this, load up, whether you like it or not, and go. And that has just kind of resonated with me. And I know when I started my own business, my son came up to me, he actually gave me a country song. He said, Dad, this country song reminds me of you, just taking the leap and building something. And, there's just, maybe it's a little bit of my personality. I think a lot of it is the example that I saw in my dad. And I think that when you can lead as a dad instead of being a tyrant dad, because even a dad can be a leader, but not all dads are daddies or papas or pops, right? They're fathers. And my goal is I want my kids to go, wow, my dad was a guy that was invested in me, inspired me to dream big and go after those dreams. And I think that's one of the things that I really see in you with your interaction with your kid. You always keep them off camera, which I have mad respect for. So kind of in wrap up, because I know you need to head out, what are like 1 or 2 things that you think are really, really critical for a dad to do or be with their children?
I have no idea. Listen, I have no idea. that I'm only good. Look, you know, people say a lot of nice things about me and my parenting on TikTok. The true test is in 15, 20 years when my children are not serial killers. That is the, I don't know. I don't know what I'm doing. I didn't get a handbook. Every kid's different. Every parent, like, I have no idea. I have at the end of every day, I'm like, oh man, well, we got through that one. It's varying degrees of a train wreck. I have no, it's not whether I'm screwing my kids up, it's how bad I'm screwing them up. So I don't have a good answer for you. I think what I should be doing is, like, what I'd like to be doing more, and this is where I'm hurting the most, is that being present in their lives is the biggest thing. I have not been able, like, I am, since this year, COVID has hit me especially hard. I'm a musician. My side hustle, teaching, that got totally nixed. So my schedule has been so irregular, which has been hard, not just on my kids, but also on my wife. So, and when you are stressing about paying the bills, paying rent, you can be someplace and also not be there. And I feel like I'm at my best as a father, or in any discipline of what I do, when I am present, when I'm mentally present. So I'm not going to sit here and lecture any parent out there, especially parents who are struggling. But I think one of the things is to be as present as you can for those moments, right? And sometimes I just have so much anxiety and so much stress that I can't quite get there. So that's one thing, being present and really making the most of those moments that you have when you're at home. The other, I mean, again, like I said, I don't know what I'm doing, but treating your kids as humans, and really trying to understand who your kids are, as opposed to trying to figure out who you think they should be according to some template or paradigm. I think a lot of parents struggle, not necessarily at fault of their own, especially first-time parents, about these benchmarks, and are they speaking at this certain time? Are they crawling? Are they doing this? Are you breastfeeding? Or, like, it's, every kid's different. Not everybody can breastfeed, and not every kid's going to be able to, not every kid's going to speak their first words at 1 year or be walking at 1 year. They're all different. And it's so important not to judge them based on some arbitrary lines. Now, of course, you consult with your doctor and you're mindful of things, and you pay attention to benchmarks in that sense, just to be sure. My kids, for example, they're bilingual. So it's a little bit slower for them to do certain things. And, and I knew that. And I am a big mouth sucker, so I'm not worried at all about that. People are like, oh, they're mixing up words, aren't you done? I'm like, shut up. Like, I don't care.
Big deal.
I don't care. So really do your best, especially first-time parents. Okay, I'm begging you. Filter out that white noise. Some people, they have good intentions. Some people are a-holes and they're trying to get in your head, right?
Yes, they are.
So you learn who your child is, reverse engineer it to what the historical pattern has been, which is for us to make our kids to fit into certain shapes. So those would be the two things that I would say.
I love that. Well, thank you so much for your wisdom, your humor, your example. I just, man, you guys got to go check him out on TikTok. It's
Oh,
at
thank
Guy
you.
Palumbo. I mean, it is really fun. I love your TikToks. I love Joe and Tang. I mean, there's just certain people that I just am really drawn to on TikTok. They're fun. They're inspiring. They're uplifting. They're positive. And you know what? Who can't use a little bit of positivity and fun in their life, especially if you're an old man and a dad? It's like, I think sometimes we forget how to play, and TikTok is given me a forum in social media to play and record my kids, right? And they're like, Dad, man, are you recording again? I'm like, yeah, it's fine. Give me that video. So,
Well, I really appreciate you having me on, and it's so nice to talk to you. And I really just admired you from that show that we did with Chaz, and I have a lot of respect for you, not only as a father of six, but also, you know, you're an independent businessman, you know, and you did it yourself, and that's the kind of life I'm trying to build for myself. So it's really nice to see someone who's made it. So I'm looking forward to conversations with you in the future.
I would love it, man. So thanks again, guys. Make sure you check him out. I wish you the best with you and your family this week.
You
And I
too.
want to, all of you other guys that are tuning in, thank you so much for joining us. I want to remind you that I'm part of the Speak Fire family, and Rethinking Rich always gives us lots of love and support. So check them out, and we will check you guys same time, same bad channel, just next week, right here on Father's Fire. See ya.